The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. At the heart of a tribal artisan is the zeal to prosper and thrive despite the hardships. The success of Tripura tribal artisans today lies in their working and learning together to build stronger communities. It's their story and journey of overcoming hardships and becoming a self sustaining community that I intend to share today with this presentation on Tripura Bamboo Mission, the cohesive power of small and medium enterprises. Based on a case study method, I will assess the impact of TBM on artisan families' income, entrepreneurial advancement, and social empowerment. Living in the thick jungles in the remote areas of India are the scattered tribal communities making a living out of the natural resources. Tripura, a tiny landlocked hilly state in the northeastern pocket of India, shares a larger part of its border with Bangladesh and Myanmar than it does with the Indian states of Mizoram and Assam. Economy of Tripura is basically agrarian, though only 27% of the land is available for cultivation due to the hilly terrain and forest cover. The economy is characterized by high rate of poverty, geographical isolation, and a high unemployment rate, hence the dependence on allied activities and traditional crafts. The handloom industry is the oldest industry in the state and an important source of livelihood for the tribal societies in the state. The inhabitants are dependent on bamboo from farm to industry and from market to household, serving not only the region but also the length and breadth of the country. A craftsmanship delight and a poor man's is gold, the efforts of the artisan community have elevated bamboo from being a neglected forest produce to a piece of beauty. Tribal artisans earn their livelihood by undertaking shifting cultivation and supplement it with income from other activities like handicrafts. The tribal communities in these remote areas are largely cut off from the developments of the globalized world, yet have to bear the consequences of being rooted in the old practices and not keeping pace with the changing times. In the face of globalization, their challenges become amplified with greater competition and their knowledge and skills become increasingly redundant. Communities are therefore rendered defenseless in the face of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Artisans found it difficult to compete with sellers from across the globe with their traditional products. Due to lack of product and process innovation, the artisan products were undervalued in the global market. Eventually, artisans had to commoditize the traditional products, and these could no longer be produced in isolation. The VUCA world therefore not only affected the individuals and communities but also had an adverse impact on the handicraft sector. Our population subgroup is sitting on a reservoir of green gold, more commonly known as bamboo, and is unexposed to the multitude of possibilities that will emerge out of it. The community is inherently reliant on its resource from cooking the bamboo shoot to making furniture and houses out of it. By facilitating a social partnership of sustainable value between the artisans of Tripura and the authorities, the vulnerable environment of an artisan is transformed into a sustainable livelihood outcome by employing a positive livelihood strategy. TBM interventions addressed the environmental, economic, social, and policy vulnerabilities and gave the tribal population a sustainable livelihood. These interventions were introduced in all the 8 districts of Tripura. In proposing TBM as a sustainable design, IL&FS Clusters, company that oversees the mission, provided for a socially cohesive environment following the path of the 3 E's, that is, education, employability, and employment. These are the pillars that support such lasting reforms. To highlight the impact of these reforms, the three E's and various livelihood strategies have been aligned with the five capitals of the Sustainable Livelihoods Framework to achieve sustainable development that finally leads to individual and community empowerment. This will help demonstrate how tribal artisans are inspired to embrace product and process innovation with a hope to thrive in the VUCA times. Bamboo has properties of being utilized into various types of value added products and provides the necessary resource base for expanding the small and medium enterprises that would generate employment and income. With such properties, bamboo can be considered as an excellent entry point for poverty alleviation programs and initiatives. Local environment also greatly facilitates the establishment of new enterprises, business ideas that contribute to the success of the region, generating a virtual multiplier effect, which in turn leads to rapid inclusive growth. These and other considerations have led to the establishment of Tripura Bamboo Mission. The importance of territoriality was highlighted through TBM using the cluster based approach, where the uniqueness of the tribal bamboo handicrafts was captured by organizing artisans into clusters of small and medium and household units producing similar products and common opportunities. In a typical cluster, such producers belong to a traditional community producing varieties of traditional products for generations like basketry, furniture, mats, handloom, incense sticks, jewelry, amongst other things. The cluster based approach is therefore market driven, inclusive, and collaborative. Such an approach transformed the small and medium enterprises into powerful economic agents that created jobs within the local economy. It has a wider social implication where the importance of SMEs as social and cultural conveyors of self actualization, social cohesion, and community welfare was also captured. I now present the interventions under the Bamboo Mission and showcase success stories of the artisans. Partnerships bring individuals together such that the benefits of cooperation are demonstrated. Artisans with special skills producing higher volume of value-added bamboo products are concentrated in small pockets called common facility centers, with a distinct subsector created within it. These are the hubs of innovation that augment social inclusion. Clusters are a hub of training, procurement, marketing, and production with a package of incentives in the form of hard and soft components. Institution development here is the key input for TBM success, the most important leave behind component functioning as a link between the market and producers. Common facility centers were set up to extend technical and design support. Design support for product innovation was especially for handicrafts and furniture making. Design transformations were kept in tandem with the domestic and global market with branding and market support. IL&FS clustered partnered with online shopping giants like Amazon and Flipkart to provide bamboo crafts a global platform. Design training and workshops were given by master craftsmen. CFC provide market access beyond the cluster or the local market through reduced friction in trading and more specifically through reduced transportation and transaction costs. Here we address the first barrier of the VUCA world to the development, which is volatility. The impact of a volatile market on the sector is countered by Marx's valorizability process, that is, the creation of value. Marx argues that the production process is both a labor process creating use values and a value creation process through which additional new value is created. The worker must create not only a new value but surplus value. A value creation process which goes beyond the point at which the worker has just created the equivalent of the value of his own labor power and begins to increase the value of capital is a valorization process, not just a value creation process. The preservation and increase of capital value thus becomes a purely social phenomenon. Competitive advantage, therefore, is a result of a collective outcome rather than an individual process. Such a grouping of economic, social, political, and cultural elements forms the innovative milieu for product innovation. Common facility centers were formed particularly in areas where high production and market potential existed. To facilitate coordination, self help groups are formed within the communities which realign the relationship between cluster activities and artisans. Inactive SHGs were regrouped and provided capacity building and management support. Creation of such self regulating communities assists business processes and augments grassroots linkage of communities with the cluster facilities. The process of integration, facilitated by TBM, strengthens the social capital by developing positive relationships towards shared understanding and common values. Building such community cohesion within and between communities is an essential step towards improving people's quality of life. This aspect of the intervention addresses the U in the VUCA. Uncertainty here is transformed through reforms to unifiability. Artisans shed uncertainty of markets and methods and absorb new trends while preserving indigenous knowledge by the unification of their efforts. Supply chain of the incense process takes place at different geographical locations from the northeast to the south of the country. As a result, the supply chain has a large number of traders and transporters at different stages. The bamboo industry is fragmented and hence competition is fierce. There is high dependence on distributors and retailers for marketing. This reduces the margin for actual workers like the bamboo stick makers and the rolling community. The manufacturer has to operate in a highly cost sensitive situation, and any quality lapse in the stick or rolling results in higher consumption of perfume, which proves detrimental to the overall cost. The large supply chain, as a result, reduces the margins for the artisans. The above complexity is addressed in the mission by the simplification of the supply chain and adding cognizability to the process. Most things of worth and interest are beyond the cognizability of single individuals, like scientific developments in how technology works, but this only poses a problem. Here again, collaborative communities become more cognizable and adapting as a team. Sustainable bottom up community development lies in building community capacity. Investing in human capital strengthens the skills, competencies, and abilities of people and communities. IL&FS clusters imparts skills training to artisans, which gives substance to empowerment. If empowerment is the value, then capacity building is the content. It makes the individuals, that is, the actors, to perform effectively, efficiently, and sustainably. TBM builds on local strengths and promotes community participation and leadership, as well as ownership of both the problems and the solutions. Provision of adequate resources to support these processes greatly increases the likelihood of long term benefits from such activities for rural communities. The three E's are the key to women empowerment. They have a positive multiplier effect for overall social and economic development when women, in the same context as men, access economic and financial resources. TBM offers the tribal women a platform to invest in themselves and in turn benefit the whole society while augmenting gender equality. At the same time, providing women the opportunity to invest in their talents has a ripple effect on the community, whereby more women are encouraged to take the entrepreneurship route. The three E's in the process make the women more employable compared to previous times, thereby empowering them. As a successful first generation entrepreneur, Jyotsna started her business in 1984 at the age of 16 with a capital investment of 10,000 rupees borrowed from her father. Her first business was to make bamboo sticks for local bamboo mat manufacturers. Jyotsna was lucky to be supported by her husband for setting up her new venture. She became a part of TBM in 2007. The mission provided her the opportunity to participate in national level workshops to explore new ideas and innovation for her business. Tripura has adequate banking network to support budding entrepreneurs and artisans. Interaction with banks reveals that more than the availability of credit, the issue is of suitability of entrepreneurs for formal credit channel. Most entrepreneurs in the bamboo sector do not have the capacity to avail bank credit as they have little to show in terms of their net worth and are not in a position to put the stipulated promoters as contribution. There is also a lack of an entrepreneurial culture in the state, and most economic activities are state driven. The government schemes are for the organized sector, while almost all the entrepreneurs working in the bamboo sector are unorganized, essentially being small artisans working from homes, preventing them from availing such facilities. TBM started an intensive capacity building initiative in the self help groups, especially those that are ripe for credit intervention. These SHGs were helped in the formulation of a suitable business plan for public sector banks providing microfinance. Banks which are hesitant to lend to individuals are more likely to come forward and provide credit for CFCs on the strength of the groups. TBM encouraged entrepreneurship through venture capital and private equity tailored to artisan needs. Bamboo is not merely the poor man's timber but is also the rich man's delicacy. It is a source of food, fodder, furniture, building materials, paper, energy, and medicine. It also plays a vital role in environmental amelioration, biodiversity preservation, soil conservation, and waste purification. Bamboo is well placed to address the food security through bamboo based agroforestry systems by maintaining the fertility of adjoining agricultural lands and as a direct food source like edible bamboo shoots. Tripura Bamboo Mission has been promoting bamboo plantation on private land, land allocated under the Forest Rights Act, and the community land targeting the small and marginal farmers since 2011. The main objective of promoting bamboo plantation is to provide income to the farmers, meet the demand of domestic and commercial use of bamboo, and to ensure food security to the artisans of the state. Interventions under the mission encourage common land or homestead plantation around the clusters for select species like muli. Quality planting material is also supplied to the artisans under the mission. They are trained on environment friendly and scientific methods of farming, hence adding to the natural capital of the region. In the face of unknown unknowns and the ambiguity of opportunities therein, artisans through TBM reforms move a step towards assurability, an assurability of resources, their preservation, and a regular source of livelihood. How natural capital created social value for the individual and the community is aptly depicted by the case of Samarjit Debarma, who is a farmer of West Tripura district owning 1 hectare of rain-fed land. Earlier, he was a daily agricultural laborer but was unable to feed his family in the paltry amount he earned. With the introduction of a more commercially viable species of bamboo like Kanak Kench under the mission, he was able to get a good growth of the bamboo plants and sell them, the bamboo poles and the rhizomes, at a good price. Now, bamboo cultivation is the only source of income for his family. We can now, with conviction, put forward how TBM transformed the lives of tribal artisans and helped them move from a condition of perilous VUCA to a state where VUCA conditions have been overcome. TBM emphasized globalization and was able to leverage the local knowledge and resources and package them to assimilate the local culture into a global one, thereby creating a hybrid culture. It helped artisans move up the intervention ladder and create a world where the valorization of human capital and subsequent unification on a community level gave rise to a more cognizable commercial environment with assured returns for the artisans. A definitive and even larger impact of the Tripura Bamboo Mission is its adherence to the Sustainable Development Goals. TBM presents itself as a success story that can benefit the larger world through its potential to be replicated in similar societies or sectors. From a research perspective, we will be conducting a quantitative study that further establishes the impact and explores the sustainable design in depth.